not had any updates for you guys, even though I had planned to post vlogs. So let's talk about where have I been all month? How is my story going? And am I going to hit my goals? So let's have a quick update about the Rough Draft Challenge. This month has been crazy. Oh my gosh, you guys, it is almost the end of April, and that means almost the end of our second Rough Draft Challenge. And here I was promising you guys that we were going to have vlogs throughout the month and that I would keep you updated on my progress. And I have barely been posting. So, where in the world have I been? How is my story going? And do I still have a chance to win the Rough Draft Challenge? We're going to talk about all the things. So, let's dive in. Whew, this month, you guys. I don't even know where to start. First of all, hello. Hi, how are you? It has been a month. It is currently storming outside, so you might hear some thunder, see some cracks of lightning. I might lose power. It's going to be an adventure. But either way, I have the house to myself for probably the next 30 to 45 minutes. So we're going to do a catch up, just kind of a casual update, because this was the month that I said, okay, I'm working on a Mirror of Shadows and I'm going to write the rough draft and I'm going to finish it and I'm going to prioritize my writing. And that was going so well for a period of time. And then the sickness hit. And this is exactly what happened to me in November when we started the Rough Draft Challenge. Now, I'm going to choose to believe that this is purely coincidental and it's not my brain somehow resisting the idea of getting back to writing, because that would be very powerful resistance if I get sick every time I try to prioritize my writing. But I do think that there have been signs for the last 6 months that I've been really pushing myself too hard, approaching burnout, and really pushing my body too hard without nurturing to make sure that I stay healthy. And that finally caught up with me. And so last November during the Rough Draft Challenge, I got pneumonia. It took months to recover. And then here we go. Let's go. April Rough Draft Challenge. I'm going to do vlogs. I'm going to get excited. And I kind of had two things happen. Number one, in this transition where I'm saying, okay, we're going to take a little bit of a pause on some courses. I'm going to really focus in on my writing. And I am still kind of trying to rebuild my team and figure out what I'm doing in terms of support and like what my daily work is going to look like. I cut way back on my task blocks, which I did record a Q2 reset. So we'll talk about that as we go. But I just found that my motivation was severely lacking. And when I really started to explore why, I realized that I had been this close on the cusp of burnout, pushing myself as hard as I could through the February course launches and everything else that I was doing when I was still really needing my body to recover. I just pushed too hard. So as soon as the HardyCon live event was over, I think that there was a part of me that just crashed in terms of motivation and just needed a little bit of a break. And there's a bit of I don't know if I would call it guilt exactly, but I have had this YouTube channel and many of you have actually, like, shout out to everybody who's been following me since 2018 when I started this channel. But I have really regularly uploaded despite when we were traveling, despite when I was pregnant or when I had a baby or whenever I was like, whatever was going on in my life. I tried my best to keep this a priority that I'm going to continue to upload at least 1 to 2 videos every single week. And I have felt really proud of that and really connected to you guys through that. However, I feel like, especially right now, this needs to be a place of encouragement and excitement. And I want, especially during something like the Rough Draft Challenge, for all of my videos to just feel inspiring and like an uplifting moment. And so to come on and be like, I'm sick again, just feels so frustrating for me because I want to be a source of light and happiness. And sometimes life does not always fall in line with that. And I just found myself lacking motivation, not feeling well, really, really struggling to get excited about starting to vlog and share that, because it was like I didn't want to produce vlogs that felt like I was struggling the whole time. And I do think that there's value in authors showing the struggle, but at the same time, I feel like now more than ever, people need encouragement and positivity. And I just felt like I wasn't able to provide that. And it was really weighing on me at the beginning of the month. So we'll talk about that in a second, because I did record some vlog footage, but because I didn't like it and I didn't feel like my energy was fully there, I just couldn't get motivated to edit it, because I thought, this isn't what people need from me right now, but I don't know if I can be what people need from me. And it just was like pushing and pulling against my heartstrings, I guess, in lack of better way to say it. Second of all, somewhere around the 11th, a couple of weeks ago, Evie had a classmate that literally got sick on her. And we thought, okay, we're going to sanitize everything, do our best to pump her full of vitamins and probiotics, but it did not help. So Evie ended up with a stomach virus that we think was the norovirus. And it put her down for 2 days, and it was awful, awful. And then despite cleaning the house from top to bottom, I was the next one to fall. So she got a little bit better, but then ended up with a fever. She missed all of last week of school, like an entire week of school. Then I was so ill. I literally just like moved into the bathroom. I was so ill. I couldn't lift my head. I couldn't check emails. I couldn't get on social media. I was ill for days, and it was probably the sickest I have been since I was a teenager, like physical illness. And so that was really, really tough. And then a couple of days later, Andrew's the next one to get it. And it was like there was no amount of Lysoling the house that was going to keep everybody healthy. And it was, just to use the word frustration, I don't want to overuse that, but it was so frustrating, because I just felt like, here's another month gone by and I'm sick again during the rough draft challenge. And I felt like I'm letting all of you down, and it just really sucked. We ended up in the emergency room with Andrew last Friday night because he was so severely ill, and he just went back to school today. So here we are between all of the illness, between the lack of motivation and the real, like truly ending up kind of on the edge of burnout. It has been another rough month. And to say that I have been avoiding updating you because I did not want to come in and give you negative news was an understatement. But in the end, we're all in this together, and I can't lie or pretend that I'm not struggling with things. But what I can do is stop focusing on the past and instead focus on where I am right now and say, okay, how do I reignite my motivation, get excited for this story, and still make this month as successful as possible? So first of all, I do have some vlog footage that I would love to share with you so it doesn't go completely to waste. So I'm going to update you here on how the month has gone so far, because I have crossed 10,000 words so far. My goal for this month was 50,000, or whatever was the end of a Mirror of Shadows, which could be really anywhere from 35 to 50,000. But I'm at 10K. We'll talk about that in a minute, because we're just going to celebrate the 10K despite 2 weeks of extreme illness. We're going to keep moving forward. But in the Heart Breathings writing community, we have a few different events that we do. So if you haven't heard of the Heart Breathings writing community, it's literally just a community of YouTubers and writers who host writing sprints literally every single day of the week. And then we do special events. Double Down Day is the first Saturday of every month, where we just sprint back to back to back on different people's channels. We have different hosts that run sprints. And then starting tomorrow, as long as I get this video up on Thursday, starting tomorrow is our quarterly virtual writing retreat, where we all kind of pretend to fly together to a location somewhere in the world, and then we spend the weekend writing back-to-back sprints all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So this quarter, we are going to Maui. So we will be in Hawaii enjoying the sun and the waves and the water and the beautiful views. So come join us in Maui, pretend in Maui. And those sprints kick off at like 6 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. So all you have to do to to join is go down to the description here of this video and click on the Heart Breathing's Writing Community link, and you will find the Google Calendar there that has all the links. And all of the sprints happen here on YouTube, just on different people's channels. I will be running sprints each day as well at different times, but you can find that full schedule there and just show up with your work in progress, get some writing done, enjoy the encouragement and the good vibes of the focus time. So I'm going to be making the most of that. But I did participate in this past Double Down Day, which is the first Saturday of every month we do that event. And so I did vlog some of that and I had a really great day. So I'm going to show you some of that footage right here. Okay, I am a visual person, and if I can set goals that are visual and see my work and my progress visually, it always helps me so much. So you'll see me potentially tracking my progress today multiple ways, and I make no apologies because it's helpful for me. So if any of this helps you, I encourage you to do it too. So I have these vase fillers. They're just from Amazon. I'm doing purple because my current story is set in what I'm calling the Amethyst Kingdom. So we need amethyst looking vase fillers. But I was using little mason jars or little acrylic things like this. But Angela Hester, who many of you know as one of our admins for sprints, during HardyCon brought me these adorable little witchy cauldrons because I write about witches. And she put the words to do and done on them, which is perfect. So these are my new visual tools. So what I have done is I have taken 12 of these vase fillers and put them in the to-do cauldron. Now, sometimes I will put, like, this would be 500 words or 1,000 words. I am not aiming for 12,000 words today. Instead, what I'm going to focus on today is the amount of time that I'm spending, because I need to do some plotting and that might not all translate into words. So my goal for the day is 12 writing sprints, which is 6 hours because they're about 30 minutes a piece. And I know I'm doing 2 full hours of sprints later tonight. I'm the final sprinter of the night. So I need to get 4 hours of sprints in before that. It is currently 11 a.m. I have been attending some of the other sprints today, but I haven't actually been working yet. I've been like getting ready and watching videos and stuff like that. So as I complete a sprint, it'll go into the done. And it's just so satisfying to hear it and to see it. And I love, by the end of the day, the sense of accomplishment that I get. If you don't like vase fillers, you could literally use anything. Little pencil, like erasers. You could put beans in there. You could have little trinkets. You could have chocolates. So you could do like little Hershey Kisses or M&Ms or something. And when they move to the done at the end of the day, you get to eat them as your reward. Like literally the sky's the limit. But sometimes making your work visual can help you focus and feel accomplished. Another tool that I'm going to be using, especially here at the beginning, is this 11 by 17 graph paper. I just got a new pad of this because I used so much of it during the planning of my last book. And so I've got the title, A Mirror of Shadows, and then I will be writing this as a serial. So it's a novel, but it's broken into 12 episodes. So if you want to hear a little bit more about how that works structurally different from a typical novel, I will link below a video where I explain that a little bit more. But there will be 12 episodes. So I have written and like cordoned this off into 12 sections here. And then I also have put these horizontal lines. And what I'm planning to do with those is the top of this is going to be the scene overview. So I might say like opening scene, Bex is staring out over the city and gets the attention of the Amethyst King. So it's kind of like the overview of the plot of this first episode. This second smaller box is just going to be whose POV are we in and what's my character's desire or goal in this scene. Then this longer section is going to be kind of a bullet point of the conflict and the basic events or obstacles of this particular episode. This final two here, this one will be the outcome. So how does the episode end, basically? And then the final piece is going to be a little bit more about the stats and info for this particular episode. So it's going to have the word count, the like how the word count ended up being, what characters appear as the main players, and where is this particular episode set. So that is how I'm trying things out. When I did this method for the disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, it looked very different from this in terms of how I arranged it, because it wasn't 12 episodes. It was like, I don't know, 60 chapters. But I ended up making this grid for that book probably 12 or 13 different times. So it's not precious, because I find that, and you may be this way too, that if I create this grid, it has to be perfect before I can write anything down. So what I have done is, purchase a whole grid and get myself into the mindset of, this doesn't have to be perfect. If it doesn't work out and it's no good, then I just tear it off and I start a new one. So as you can see, I had been working throughout the month. I had a really great double down day and I was getting some words in, but it wasn't flowing as strongly as I wanted. And I knew that it was because, first of all, I'm switching back to a new genre. The book I've been working on for the last couple of years was a supernatural thriller, like a mystery thriller for young adults. And it doesn't have magic and witches and things like that. Very different kind of world, standalone, focus on the mystery. So now I'm jumping back to my fantasy, my contemporary fantasy, and I'm writing a spinoff of my already really big world. So I write a series called the Shadow Demon Saga. My first book came out in 2010. Book 11 came out in 2021. So it has been a few years since the last book that I've written. There is one book left to go in that series, hopefully coming later this year or early 2026. But there is also a spin-off story that has been kind of cooking in my brain for a couple of years. And so I'm telling that story first. And the first book in that series is called A Mirror of Shadows. There will be a few crossover characters, but this series will stand alone, but it will also, if you've read everything, really deepen some of those characters. And you will see characters from this series crossover into the final book, book 12. So there's a lot of things that I have to go back and remember about the original series. And I was trying to sort of skip some of that work of getting reoriented to the original series, thinking through like what's going to happen across this entire series. And I was just like, let's get moving on book one because I really want to start reading it on YouTube. And I basically rushed my own process. Plus, like I told you, I started working on this during the Rough Draft Challenge last year, got sick, ended up the whole thing. So I wasn't really spending the time that I expected. And then the more time goes on, the more I was panicking that it's taking me too long to write. And I feel like so much of writing is learning to kind of regulate our own emotions when it comes to how the story is going and learning how to trust the process when it feels hard. And I am just getting back to that after years of writing not being my main focus. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of grace and leeway there. But I will say, I was rushing my own process. And because of that, I was not really finding the beginning that I wanted. And I started it one way, switched it, started it another way, switched it, started it another way. I think this is the fourth or fifth time I have restarted this book. So I wrote for Double Down Day. Then I did have a day also where George and I went on a date night and we took our stuff out. So let me show you a little bit of footage from that as well. Hey you guys, I thought it would be really fun to, now that it's spring and sun is out, to go out and visit some coffee shops, particularly maybe on like Thursdays or Fridays when I have a little bit more free time. And so George and I are packing up and we are going to head to our first coffee shop, which is a coffee shop over in Cedar Hill, and it's going to be a fun day. So I'm hoping to kind of explore different coffee shops for writing, bookstores for writing, and just spots around the Dallas area. So come with me. Let's get some writing done and it should be a good day. Okay, so I picked up all my mail. I had so many packages and now we're gonna run into Barnes& Noble because there's a book I want to get and I need to eat some lunch somewhere nearby, and then we're gonna go to the coffee shop. Okay, so change of plans. We were gonna go to a coffee shop called 1846 Coffee, but they have no food and it's lunch and I have coffee chat coming later, so we have limited time. So we're gonna go to Dick's Uptown Cafe and hopefully it will be tasty and a good place to sit and read or write. Sunny day today. I got about 800 words, which is awesome. We did have a problem with one of my little keys, but George fixed it for me while we were there, so problem averted. And now we gotta head home quick for coffee chat, so let's get there. And now we come back to present day, basically. I am recording this on Thursday. I'm hoping to actually edit it and get this video up today. So if you're seeing this on Thursday, even if it's in the evening, it's a huge win. Go ahead and give this a like that I managed to get it out on time. But I have restarted the book yet again. And one of the things I want to say as an encouragement to those of you that have been restarting for a while, but maybe don't have a whole shelf full of completed books, is that sometimes when we look at writers who are successful or who have successfully finished books, it can feel like, what are we doing wrong? Like, surely they just have an idea, they plot it out, or whatever they do, they write it and they see it to the end, they edit it a few times, and then the book is done. Why can't I do that? And it can make us have sort of a false perception of what a writer's life is like. Now, I do have friends who write books very quickly. They finish things all the time. They finish 5, 10 books a year. And I am envious and I admire those friends of mine ridiculous amounts. However, not all writers are like that. And it's not that easy for all of us to just say, here's the idea, we jump in, the beginning is exactly right, the middle is exactly right, the ending is exactly right. That's not the kind of writer that I am. And it's okay if it's not the kind of writer you are either. we can work to continually try to improve our process, to become more efficient, to get to that finished product a little bit faster, a little bit better each time. But there are also going to be times when we're starting a brand new series and we have to lay the foundations, and we might have to experiment a few times to say, is this the character's voice that I'm looking for? Is this the premise that's going to work best? And sometimes the only way to know that is to sit down and try it and write it and see if it's working. But I know for me, at least, even sharing it here on YouTube to be like, here's my process, I almost have this feeling of like, oh, I'm failing because I can't get into it fast enough. I'm not writing fast enough. And I want to be inspirational, and I want to be moving faster, and I want to find it. And I don't want people to perceive that I am failing at this writing thing because it is taking me so long to find it. So I know that if I'm feeling that way, there's got to be some of you that are feeling that way as well when you look at other writers and you compare yourself to their process. And I'm just here to tell you that most of us do not just sit down with an idea, write it from start to finish, and it turns out great with a few edits. Most of us have to trial and error. We write it, we have the idea, we try to get it onto page. It either works or it doesn't work. And sometimes we have to shift and we have to go back to the drawing board and we have to cut chapters. And sometimes you make it halfway through the book and you have to throw this whole thing out. And that is just sometimes the way it is. But in the end, it's so incredibly worth it to stick with the story, to believe in yourself despite the starts and stops. Because I think that sometimes when it's not coming together and it doesn't feel great, it can just seem like, well, maybe I'm not good enough to tell this story. Maybe I don't have the skill. Maybe I'm not smart enough to figure it out. What's wrong with me? Like, there's all kinds of negative thoughts that can creep in when we're in the middle of the hard part of really finding our character's voice, figuring out the story, especially if you're in the beginning stages and you've never finished anything before and you're still kind of not sure how to like keep track of all the different things that are going on in your plot, or how to really like figure out what that pacing feels like. I just want to give you a moment. Like, I just want to sit here and tell you that that's normal, that there's nothing wrong with you, that it doesn't have to do with your skill. It might mean that you still need to learn a little bit more or get a little bit more experience, but also just know that those of us that have sold 1 million books and written 30 books and have finished things for years still have that same experience. And it doesn't mean anything in terms of failure or not being good enough or not being smart enough. None of that plays into it. It's just simply following the process, spending the time, and honestly doubting ourselves, feeling like we're not good enough, worried that we're not smart enough, whatever those fears are that come up for you, it's only holding you back. So I'm going to give you permission right now and I'm going to give myself the same permission to just let go of all of those crazy expectations that we put on ourselves of, it's got to be perfect, it's got to be right, I have to do it faster. Just let go of all of that and instead just think, what about this story do I love? What am I learning? What did I accomplish today? And every day when you finish your writing, whether you're going to use those words or not, whether you like those words or not, whether you feel like it's coming together or not, did you sit down and spend time with your story? If you did, that's a win. It's all forward progress. That being said, I am sitting right now. Let's take a look. I'm going to just share my screen super quickly onto the screen here. I am sitting, as you can see, I am sitting at 10,422 words for the Rough Draft Challenge in April so far, which is better than I did in November. So we're going to applaud that and say, yay, Sarah, you're doing great. But at this point, I would need about 7,000 words per day to hit the 50K. So we are just not going to do that to ourselves. I want to win. I want to feel like it's a win and that it's good. So I'm going to go over here to Edit Project. And I'm going to change this 50,000 word goal and I'm going to change it to a 25,000 word goal. So we're going to go down from the Ruby tier to the Sapphire tier. And you are going to see here that now I am at 41% of my goal for the month. And now I just need 2430 a day to hit that remaining like 14,500 words. It is okay, no matter where you are in the process, to go ahead and change that goal to make it something that feels achievable so that you can get motivated. Because I don't know about you, but like looking at having to write 7K words a day, which I know is not achievable for me right now, doesn't make me feel accomplished. It just makes me feel like I'm not it's not even worth it, right? Like why try because it's not going to happen. But when I see myself move that back down to a goal that feels realistic, hey, let's do it. I got it. I feel motivated again. I feel excited for it. And so we're going for it. So I have lowered my goal to 25K. That's the first piece of it. Now, those 10,000 plus words that I wrote still count toward the Rough Draft Challenge. I had written about 3.5, we'll say 3 episodes of A Mirror of Shadows. However, during my sickness, I was like almost delirious. Like I was on 14th hour of physical illness. We'll just leave it at that's the nicest way I could say it. Hour 14 of physical illness, laying in bed thinking, I can't do this anymore. And suddenly a new idea for the beginning of the book just spoke to me. And I was like, suddenly I had some kind of miraculous delusional, I don't know how to explain it. I had some kind of miraculous moment of clarity where I was like, okay, this is what I need to do with the story. I have to scrap everything that I have so far and we're starting over. So I created a new story grid. You can see there's literally nothing on it, but the way that I have it sort of settled here is there's 12 episodes. I'm going to be reading this chapter by chapter or episode by episode. So it's serialized. So I've got 12 episodes here. And at the top, I will write what is the main event of this, like what's the main thing that's happening in this particular scene. Then I'll write who's the POV character here and what is their main goal. And then in this larger part, this longer piece, I will be doing a bullet points of the action of this particular episode. Now, each of these 12 episodes is going to be between 3 and 5,000 words. So I need, 3 to 5 scenes ish. That's not fully told, but I need 3 to 5 little bullet points here of the things that are happening. Then this next box is the outcome. Like, how did the chapter end? Usually with some kind of cliffhanger because it's a serial. And then at the bottom is sort of a wrap up where I'm going to say, here's how many words were in the word count. Here's the setting that we were in. And here's any other extra notes about like characters that appeared in this one or something that was important that happened with the romance or something like that. So hopefully my goal is that by the end of the Rough Draft Challenge next week, I will have that grid completely filled out, because even if you're not getting actual words, if you're figuring out the plot and you are a plotter, it is still progress. And I know that many of you did a diamond challenge, this Rough Draft Challenge, and you were saying how many hours or minutes you were going to work. And sometimes when you're in the plotting or editing phases, that can be so much more telling of the time you put in than actual word count. So don't be afraid. To change or alter those goals if it makes sense for where you are in the process. I'm sticking with word count, but I'm also giving myself internal credit for the amount of time I have spent plotting. I have filled so much of this writing journal with ideas. Like all of this has been filled out. I don't even know what that word count would be if I had been typing it, like maybe an additional 5,000 words. I have filled all this out and figured all this out throughout the month of April. So that is a win regardless of the word count, but I still want to hit as much of this story done as I can. So here's my plan moving forward. Okay, side note, because they're sitting here. Have you guys seen the ads for these Hello Kitty glasses? Like, do you see this? How adorable are these? I had these made. I went to my eye doctor because many of you know I was experiencing extreme eye strain when I was finishing final edits of Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, and I ended up like having to keep my eyes closed for days because of the strain. But regular just like readers or blue light blocking glasses aren't the right prescription for the distance to my computer screen. So I went to my doctor and I said, what can we do about glasses that are just for the exact distance from me to my computer screen? And so he gave me a prescription and I ordered these super cute Hello Kitty glasses. I got them in pink and I got them in purple. And they're so adorable. And I just love them. I might wear them in my writing sprints tomorrow night, but they are so cute. And they have bling on it. It's like, they're so cute. I will leave a link down below if anybody wants. I think they're coming from China, so they took a little bit to get here, but they are super cute. And they have like Kuromi and Cinema Roll and all the other Sanrio characters. So total side note. Okay, so here's my plan moving forward is Number one, we have the virtual writing retreat coming up this weekend. So that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of pure writing time. Now, I do have VIP coaching meetings. I have Friday coffee chats. I have my kids have things going on. There's like a birthday party. We have date night tomorrow night. There's lots of things that are going on in addition to the writing. So I can't just sit down and do a full retreat, but I am going to commit to at least 4 hours per day over the next 3 days working on my story. Now, I spent probably 3 hours already today kind of working on the outline of the new version of the story, but I haven't actually started writing. So that full 10,400 words that I've written so far for the Rough Draft Challenge is all throwaway words. And like I said, that doesn't mean it's wasted. It just means it was part of the experimentation that got me to this new idea. And so it's valuable. It's super valuable. It's just not words anyone else will ever read, even though, man, I really liked the first few lines of that story. So we're gonna see if we can work it in somewhere else. But anyway, my goal for tonight is to get as much of these first like couple of episodes filled out in terms of the story grid, and maybe work on that some tomorrow morning, and then 4 full hours of writing. Now, 4 full hours of writing, if I pull out my phone here and use math to help me, I know that my average word count is about 650 words per 25-minute sprint. We're going to give a little buffer here and we're going to put that average at 500 words. So if I can write 500 words on average each writing sprint, and I can do 2 sprints an hour times 4 hours, that's 8 writing sprints times 500 words. So I really don't need a calculator for that, but we're going to pull it out anyway. So that's about 4,000 words. That feels like a lot to expect myself to go straight into 4,000 words tomorrow. So I'm going to kind of give myself a bye day just in case I'm still plotting. But we're going to aim for 4,000 words on Saturday and 4,000 words on Sunday. So that gets me 8,000 words into my goal. That leaves me with, because let me pull up my screen share again. So I need 14,578. So if we take 14,578 and we subtract 8,000, that leaves me with 6,500 words remaining that I need in order to win my Rough Draft Challenge. Now, 25,000 words does not get me to anywhere near, because 10 of it is from previous version of this book. That only gets me through the first 2 to 3 episodes, probably 3 at least episodes of A Mirror of Shadows. I will be very happy if I can hit the 25K, but I'm also going to secretly be aiming to finish at least 4 or 5 episodes before the beginning of May. So here's the other thing that I'm doing. Sunday night, I will actually leave before my sprints. So I am sprinting from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern on Sunday night here on this channel. But before I start sprinting, I will check into an Airbnb not too far away from home. And I will be spending Sunday night, all day Monday, all day Tuesday, part of Wednesday writing. And I'm going to vlog that experience for you. Hopefully be able to bring the energy, bring the excitement. And I do apologize that I said I'm going to have vlogs throughout the month. And then it was almost like I couldn't force myself to edit them and to show up with that level of energy, because I just didn't have it. And it just didn't feel fully authentic to be like, okay, let's go. And I felt like this is not going to be what everybody needs it to be. And so I just kind of got quiet. So I apologize. I'm doing the best I can, but hopefully this writing retreat time will be super valuable. So my goal for the retreat is I've got basically 2 full days of nothing but writing, with some bookends there of like a partial day Sunday, partial day on Wednesday. So honestly, what I'm hoping for is at least 5,000 words a day on those 2 main days, and then maybe 2,000 words a day on the bookends. So that's 2, 4 plus 10, 14 plus the 8. So math wise, which I can't, it's like, why does my brain not work? That would be 22,000 words between now and the end of the month. It might be totally crazy. If I divide that by 500, I would need 44 writing sprints, which is 22 full hours of writing. But that's also over the course of basically 6 days. So 22 divided by 6 days is only three and a half to 4 hours of writing a day. And I feel like that's not a ridiculous ask. However, sometimes you bite off more than you can chew. So I'm not promising anything. Only thing I'm going to promise is that I'm going to show up with my whole heart and I'm going to do my best to stay positive, because I've found that when my energy is low and my motivation is low and I don't have a lot of positive, like I am a high achiever person. So raise your hand if you have high achiever in your Enneagram or in your Strengths Finder. I am a number 3 Enneagram. My achiever is literally number 3 in my Strengths Finder. So I often really want that sort of external feedback. You're doing great. You're achieving. You're accomplishing things. And I've had nothing since HardyCon. It's just been like no achieving at all. And in fact, a feeling of I'm letting people down, I'm failing, like, and that the more that happens, the more negative starts to come in. So I just kind of had to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, I am not going to let this bring me down. I'm going to get myself remotivated. So some of the things that I've been doing to get back to that creative space, to get remotivated for my story, have been really, really working. Woo, did you guys see that? I don't know if you saw that on camera. We'll see it in the edits, but that was the big lighting there. But I am going to share some of that with you when we move into May. And if you've been struggling with motivation, with being excited, with finding your spark again, with sort of shutting out some of the noise, there goes the thunder, shutting out some of the noise of the negativity and the fears that are going on in the world and trying to get back to a creative space, because I feel like it's a very complicated time to be a creator, because it feels like, what right do I have to be sitting here in my imaginary worlds? But the truth is, our imaginary worlds and the things that we put into the world becomes an escape and a sense of hope for everyone else when they read those stories. And so the world needs us, you guys, and yet it can be very difficult to get to a place where you feel motivated to be creative. And so we're going to talk about that throughout the month of May. But first, let's get through the Rough Draft Challenge. Number 1, I want you to, in the comments, if you have been writing, whether you've been struggling a little bit like I have, whether you've been dealing with sickness, whether you've only sat down to write once, let me know in the comments that you've been writing. You can put a little pencil emoji or a book emoji, and I will know, okay, you've been writing, you've been getting it done. If you have found that the Rough Draft Challenge has been enormously helpful, please put that down there as well and let us know that you've been doing great. After this month, I will be uploading an undated version of the Rough Draft Challenge planner so that you can use that any month you want. You'll also be able to use the Rough Draft Challenge website every single month, but it will sort of reset. So if you're working on a project, like if I want to take a Mirror of Shadows, let's say I get to 25,000 words and I want to work on it again in May, I have to start a new project for May and set a new goal for May. I won't be able to use that same project because it's a Rough Draft Challenge month. So it's a monthly challenge. So it only works for 1 month. That old data will still be there for you, but you will need to start a new project, even if it's the same book, if that makes sense. Let me know if you have questions. But anyway, I feel like I want to put these glasses back on because they were so cute. I feel so smart and studious. Well, let me know how you guys have been doing. Let me know if you've been writing or if you've been struggling too. Let me know if you have been loving your story. What are you loving about your story? And what is your goal for the retreat coming up? I would love to see you guys at a lot of these sprints coming up. I will be sprinting Friday night from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, on Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern, and again on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. But I am by far just a small piece of the Heart Breathings writing community. Our amazing hosts and admins are sprinting every single day for you guys. So go subscribe to their channel, let them know that you appreciate them, and show up for yourself and for them and for this community. And let's see if we can get some positive momentum going before we hit May. So that's my goal. That's kind of where I've been. That's sort of what I've been up to. I do apologize if it was disappointing for many of you that you didn't get to see vlogs from me. I did record a Q2 reset as well and didn't quite finish it before my daughter got sick. And so we'll see if we get that up, or I might just scrap it. Let me know if you still want to see it, even if it's late, or I might just scrap it and start over with some new like monthly reset for the month of May. And we'll just kind of see how it goes. But either way, I super love you guys. I missed you this month. Hopefully I will be back to posting regular Instagram and YouTube comments, YouTube content coming up soon. And, sometimes we just have to say, I honor my body's need to slow down, even if it's not the smartest thing for my momentum for my business, even if it's going to disappoint other people. Sometimes we just have to say, okay, this is what my body needs, and I need a little bit of a break, and let it be okay. And even if other people are disappointed, just love yourself through it anyway. And sometimes, of course, we need to look to the creators that are, our safe spaces and our safe havens and say, I love you even when you don't show up 100%, because I think we all need to know that it's okay to not have to push yourself beyond certain limits to please everybody. And it's a lesson that I am learning as a recovering people pleaser. So if you have any encouraging words, please leave those down below. I know this has been kind of a long update, but we had to get some of that vlog footage in there. And I will be for sure vlogging the writing retreat this weekend, as well as the full writing retreat that I'm going on next week in Dallas. So I hope you're looking forward to it. I certainly am. I hope it's a successful last week of the Rough Draft Challenge. And I will see you guys in my next video. If you are new here, by the way, and you like the vibe and you want to write with us and you want to hang out and see some writer vlogs, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you have not yet placed your Erin Condren order, it is live on their website. So go ahead and do that. And actually, if you're watching this on Thursday, but before midnight, you can use the code Sarah15 and get an additional 15% off your order. And I think that's it, you guys. I super love you. And I will see you in tomorrow's virtual writing retreat. All right. Bye, everybody.